The Human Self and Iblees. Translation of Iblees O Adam. Translated and edited. Dr. Ajaz Rasul, UK. The Quranic Concept of Satan and Perspective on Human Desires, Emotions, Intellect and Wahi. Author. Ghulam Ahmad Parwez. 6 Malaika. Angels or Forces of Nature. We have seen in the story of Adam that the Malaika were commanded to bow down before Adam, and in response to this command they bowed their head. Malaika is a plural of malak, the other form of which is malik, and its root is from alk. The meaning of alwaka is the transmission of messages. Hence, the meanings of malaika are a runner, a messenger, and an envoy. This is why the word rusul, meaning the ones transmitting the message, has also been used in the Quran for malaika. Allah chooses messengers from malaika and from men, for Allah is He who hears and sees all things. 22:75. But this same word can also be derived from malik. In that case the meaning of malaika will be of various forces. From the study of the Quran, this fact becomes evident that by malaika is meant those forces which are busily engaged in running the immense machinery of the universe according to the will of Allah. And because those forces are assigned to running the system of nature, i.e., forces of nature, this is why they are bound to the chain of the divine laws so that man can obtain work from them. This is why it is stated in the story of Adam that the Malaika bowed down before Adam, the meaning being that the forces of nature have been made subservient to man. All of these forces are busily engaged in carrying out different tasks according to Allah's plan, which is called mashrit. In Quranic terminology, operating the system of the universe in this way is called directing affairs. The central control of all these schemes is in the hand of Allah. This is called istiwa al-arsh, in other words, Allah having central authority over the governance of the universe. In Surah Yunus it is stated, "Verily your Rabb is Allah, who created the heavens and the earth in 6 days." Then he established himself on the throne of authority, regulating and governing all things. 10:3. This is that Amra, on the basis of which this supreme process of the universe is established. And among his signs is this, that heaven and earth stand by his command. 30:25. 6.1 Malaika perform assigned tasks. How this scheme of tasks is implemented and put into action, this matter is beyond our comprehension. But the Quran has informed us that, under the law of Mashrit, those who are responsible for these duties of continuing and sustaining of these divine tasks are called Malaika. This is why the Malaika have been called those who perform assigned tasks, then arrange to do the commands of their Rabb. 79:5. In another verse they are also called, and those that distribute and apportion by command. 51:4. In Surah At-Talik it is stated, Allah is He who created 7 firmaments and of the earth a similar number. Through the midst of them all descends His command, that you may know that Allah has power over all things, and that Allah comprehends all things in His knowledge. 65:12. At another place this reality has been stated like this. So he completed them as 7 firmaments in 2 days. And he assigned to each heaven its duty and command. And we adorned the lower heaven with stars, emitting light, and provided it with protection. Such is the decree of Him, the exalted in might, full of knowledge. 41:12. 6.2 Mechanisms and means. In other words, Allah has implemented His Wahi within these stellar bodies so that they remain engaged in the fulfillment of their assigned duties. The descent of this Wahi has also occurred via the Malaika, because the distribution of tasks is through the Malaika. Hence, the Malaika are those mechanisms and means through which the divine tasks are implemented in the universe. It should not be concluded from this that Allah is dependent on these mechanisms and means for the execution of His commands. His Samdiyat being is completely pure from every thought of any kind of need, and free from the requirement of any kind of causation and means, but this is His established system that whether it is the domain of Khalq, creation, or the sphere of Amra, direction, events and effects take place according to His defined and implemented system. There is a clear distinction between dependency and execution. It is on this very basis that the Malaika are proclaimed to be those who bear the divine throne and circumambulate it. And you will see the Malaika surrounding the throne, divine, on all sides, celebrating the hamd of their Rabb, pursuing assigned tasks. The decision between all men will be with perfect justice, and the proclamation on all sides will be hamd be to Allah, the Rabb of the worlds. 39:75. See also 47. In relation to the Day of Judgment, the Quran states, "And the Malaika will be on its sides, and 8 will, that day, bear the throne of your Rabb above them." 69:17. As has already been written, Arsh is that center of divine authority where planning of the tasks of the universe takes place. Since this planning of tasks occurs through the Malaika, that is why the Malaika are the ones who bear the divine Arsh and are the ones who are busily engaged around it. 6.3 Malaika do not have the power of disobedience. It is due to this constancy and complete focus of theirs in obedience to the divine commands that this universe is functioning with such beauty and balance. Because they implement these commands and do not interfere in any way whatsoever of their own accord in them, they simply do not possess any power to interfere with or defy orders. And to Allah does obeisance all that is in the heavens and on earth, whether moving, living creatures or the Malaika, for none are arrogant before their Rabb. 16:49. Just cast another glance again at the story of Adam, and the obedience and submission of the Malaika will emerge clearly before you. The very meaning of Fazajadu is that they bowed their heads in compliance to the commands. Whatever forces are busily engaged in carrying out tasks in the system of the universe, until these are under one authority of governance, this system cannot remain established. If every part of a machine begins to function each according to its own will, then the outcome is obvious. It is the consequence of this unquestioning conformity of the Malaika that no disorder is visible anywhere in the universe. Chaos arises where the orders of more than one authority are implemented. Where governance is of only one Allah and His workers are so obedient, in such a kingdom there cannot be an iota of disorder. This obedience of the Malaika is living and eternal evidence of this fact that, other than Allah, there is no other authority whose law operates in the universe. 3:18. 6.4 Relaying of Allah's Wahi. The duty to send Wahi to the messengers used to be allocated to selected Malaika. Allah chooses messengers from Malaika and from men, for Allah is He who hears and sees all things. Opening parenthesis. 22:75. In this verse there is reference to selection from among Malaika and men for the messengers. This does not mean that for the guidance of mankind the Anbiya used to be either human beings or Malaika. 6.5 Malaika were not Rasul, messengers. For the guidance of human beings it was only men who were the messengers. The Malaika used to reveal Wahi from Allah on the Anbiya, and the Anbiya would in turn pass this Wahi on to the ordinary people. The Quran has clarified that the Malaika were not sent as messengers for the guidance of humanity. Say, if there were settled, on earth, Malaika, instead of humans, walking about in peace and quiet, we should certainly have sent them down from the heavens a Malik, angel, for a messenger. 17:95. The difference between the communication of the Malaika and the messengerhood of the Anbiya becomes clearly evident from this. 1. Risalat. Communication of the message is this, that Allah gave a message and relayed it to the Rasul just as a postman delivers a letter to the addressee. This relaying of a message was that of the Malaika. The other communication is that of the Anbiya, about whom it is stated that because they used to be sent for the guidance and direction of mankind. Hence, for this requirement men themselves would be selected so that by modeling the divine message in the form of a practical system they could relate what the correct picture of a human society should be. 6.6 Clarification of a point. At this juncture it is necessary to elaborate a point. Some people draw the conclusion from this verse that the angels are also a creation like us, and that they can reside on the earth in the same way that we inhabit the earth. There is no doubt in the Malaika being a creation, but to declare that they are also a creation like us is not correct in the light of Quranic explanations. As far as this verse is concerned, in the previous verse it is stated, and this is also stated at other places, that the objection of these people was, why is the messenger just like other ordinary human beings, he should be some kind of supernatural being like the Malaika. 1794. In reply to their objection, it was stated that in your craving for miracles you do not even consider this much as to what the role of the messenger is. The responsibility of the messenger is not only to pass on the message of Allah to the people. He first of all acts on this message himself, and in this way his life becomes as a model for other people. From this it is obvious that he has to be like those to whom he comes as a messenger. If it is not like this, then how can his life become a model for them? Because human beings live here, hence, the messenger should also be a human being. Your demand that the messenger should have been an angel could only have made sense in the event that angels resided here. This was the logical answer to their objection. In relation to Jesus, the Quran stated that the belief of Christians about Jesus was, and still is, that he was superhuman. Refuting this erroneous belief of theirs, it is stated that his life was a model for the Bani Israel. If he had been superhuman, then how could his life have served as a model for human beings? 43. 59. If he had been superhuman, then the creation existing here should also have been superhuman. Malaika. 43. 60. A messenger for mankind from among mankind was such an obvious reality on the wisdom of which every visionary was a witness, but for the rejectors, Kafir, this matter was unacceptable, and they used to raise the objection that a man like us, and a messenger. How can this be? The people of Noah also raised this objection when they said, the chiefs who had adopted the path of Kufr among his people said, he is no more than a man like yourselves. His wish is to assert his superiority over you. If Allah had wished to send messengers, he could have sent down Malaika. Never did we hear such a thing. As he says, among our ancestors of old. 23. 24. The same was said by the people of Ad and Thamud. Behold, the messengers came to them, from before them and behind them, preaching, serve none but Allah. They said, if our Rabb had so pleased, he would certainly have sent down Malaika to preach. Now we reject your message altogether. 41. 14. Even though the Anbiya themselves used to acknowledge that we are not Malaika. Noah stated, I tell you not that with me are the treasures of Allah, nor do I know what is hidden, nor claim I to be an angel. 11. 31. Rasulullah also stated the same. Say, I tell you not that with me are the treasures of Allah, nor do I know what is hidden, nor do I tell you I am an angel. 6. 50. From this verse, too, some people pose the argument that the Malaika are a creation like us, and that is why Rasulullah or Noah said that I am not an angel. This argument is also very weak. In fact, from this the outcome is quite the opposite. The fact is, as has been previously explained, that the fundamental demand of the opponents was that the messenger should be a superhuman entity, not a human being. This is why they used to solicit miracles from the messengers. In reply to them it was averred, how can the messenger manifest supernatural things when he is not a supernatural entity? Since in the minds of the addressees by supernatural beings was meant the Malaika, this is why by stating, I am not an angel, they were rebutted. The meaning of this is plain that the messenger stated, if it had been my claim that I am not a human being but am some superhuman entity, then you could have demanded supernatural things from me. When this is not even my claim, then demands like this from me are meaningless. 6.7 Bizarre objections. Now let us move on. This was not the only objection of the Kuffar. They also used to say that if these individuals are messengers of Allah, then why are there not row upon row of angels accompanying them? This same objection was raised about Moses, that, if he is a messenger, then why are not gold bracelets bestowed on him, or why come not with him angels accompanying him in procession? 43. 53. And it did not just end there. Rather, they even used to say, why are angels not descending on them as well? Such as, fear not the meeting with us for judgment. Say, why are not the angels sent down to us, or why do we not see our Rabb? Indeed they have an arrogant conceit of themselves, and mighty is the insolence of their impiety. They have exceeded all bounds. 25. 21. Details of this will be given a few steps ahead. But this denial does not mean that the angels do not descend on anyone else other than the Anbiya. The descent of the Malaika on the Anbiya occurs along with the Wahy of Allah, and the Wahy of Risalat cannot descend on anyone other than the Messenger. But apart from for the delivery of Wahy, the Malaika also descend for other purposes. We have seen earlier that the task of Iblees is to foment fear and grief. In contrast to this, the Malaika produce that peace and tranquility in the heart of a moment, as a result of which fear and grief can approach nowhere near him. In the case of those who say, our Rabb is Allah, and, further, stand straight and steadfast, the Malaika descend on them. Fear you not, they say, nor grieve, but receive the glad tidings of the garden of bliss, the which you were promised. 41. 30. Let us examine once again the condition for the descent of the Malaika. Iman in the Rububiyyat of Allah, and then firmness on this Iman. Strengthened Iman, unwavering Iman, mountain-shattering Iman, such an Iman that even the mightiest force of Iblis cannot produce even a ripple in it. From this the descent of the Malaika results, as a consequence of which the human heart becomes an expanse of luminescent showers of peace and tranquility. 6.8 Shower of peace and tranquility. This was that perseverance and resolution on the basis of which, in the battlefields of Badr and Hunayn, Allah helped the Mujahideen by means of those armies and forces of the Malaika who by their appearance created fear and terror in the hearts of the opponents, and generated peace and tranquility in the hearts of the Muslims. It is stated in Surah Al-Imran, Allah had helped you at Badr, when you were a contemptible little force. Then fear Allah, thus may you show your gratitude. Remember you said to the Mu'mineen, is it not enough for you that Allah should help you with 3,000 Malaika sent down? Yea, if you remain firm, and act aright, even if the enemy should rush here on you in hot haste, your Rabb would help you with 5,000 Malaika making a terrific onslaught. Allah made it but a message of hope for you, and an assurance to your hearts. In any case, there is no help except from Allah, the Exalted, the Wise. 3. 123 to 126. In Surah Anfal it is declared about these very Malaika. Remember your Rab inspired the Malaika with the message, I am with you, my help is with you. Give firmness to the Momineen. I will instill terror into the hearts of the Kafirin, unbelievers. So smite you above their necks and smite all their fingertips off them. 8:12. About the day of Hunain it is stated, assuredly Allah did help you in many battlefields and on the day of Hunain. Behold, your great numbers elated you, but they availed you naught. The land, for all that it is wide, did constrain you, and you turned back in retreat. But Allah did pour His calm on the messenger and on the Momineen, and sent down forces which you saw not. He punished the Kafir. Thus does He reward those who are Kafirin. 9:25-26. Reflect on all of these verses. Regarding the assistance of the Malaika, it is stated that due to this the hearts of the Momineen received peace and their resolve became fortified. On the other side, the hearts of the enemy became fearful and their courage was weakened. It is clear from this that in these verses by Malaika is meant those psychological states which imprint influences on human hearts. And since psychological states have a very profound effect on human resolve and actions, hence victory and defeat, success and failure, are predominantly dependent on these forces. This same state of peace and tranquility of the heart is also mentioned in that incident when Rasulullah, with only one companion of his known as Siddiq, was taking refuge in a cave on the morning of his migration. Absolutely helpless and without any means from the worldly point of view. Without friends and support, leaving home and hearth behind, having escaped from his homeland, the enemy with all of its resources at his heels. Just imagine this disheartening scene of fear and terror. He is sitting hiding in this state of helplessness. The thundering of the hooves of the enemy's horses can be heard. Signs of trepidation and apprehension appear on the forehead of this companion in the cave, not for himself but out of concern for his great friend, and signs of worry and stress appear on his face. The eyes of this friend, Rasulullah, looked at him and, in this dreadful environment of despair and despondency, declared with full resolve and certainty, do not grieve, Allah is with us. 9:40. This fortified heart and peaceful state is also described using the term descent of the Malaika when it is stated, if you help not Rasulullah, it is no matter, for Allah did indeed help him when the Kafir drove him out. He had no more than one companion. The two were in the cave, and he said to his companion, have no fear, for Allah is with us. Then Allah sent down His peace upon him, and strengthened him with forces which you saw not, and humbled to the depths the word of the Kafirin. But the word of Allah is exalted to the heights. For Allah is exalted in might wise. 9:40. This was that help and support of Allah, the Malaika and the Jamaat-e-Momineen, about which it is stated at another place. Truly Allah is his protector, and Gabriel, and the righteous who have Iman, and furthermore the Malaika will back him up. 66:4. 6.9 Darood and Salat. This is that help and support which is called Darood and Salat. O Jamaat-e-Momineen, Allah and his Malaika, all, provide support and assistance to the Nabi. O Momineen, you should also help and assist him, i.e., completely obey this system of Allah. 33:56. Not only help and support for Rasulullah but for all the Momineen. O followers of the invitation of Iman, it is only the being of Allah who provides support and favor to you and also his Malaika, so that he brings you out from the depths of darkness into light. Brings you out of the darknesses of non-Allah subjugation into the light of the system of Allah. And he is full of rahmat for the Momineen. 33:43. 6.10 Tabshir. Glad tidings. It was the Malaika themselves who gave the glad tidings of Yahya to Zachariah. While he was standing in Salat in the chamber, the Malaika called unto him, Allah does give you glad tidings of Yahya, witnessing the truth of a word from Allah, and be besides noble, chaste, and a Nabi of the goodly company of the righteous. 3:39. It was also the Malaika who came to Maryam with the glad tidings about Jesus. Behold, the Malaika said, O Maryam, Allah has chosen you and purified you, chosen you above the women of all nations. 3:42. See also 3:45, 19, 17. Details of these points will be elaborated at their own place. 6.11 Dispenser of punishment from Allah. If, on the one hand, the Malaika shower the light of Allah's rahmat on account of Iman and resolve, then, on the other hand, they are also the dispensers of divine punishment on account of kufr and contravention. By divine punishment is meant the destructive outcomes of the wrong path of these nations. Hence, in this regard, by Malaika is meant those forces which remain busily engaged in carrying out the establishment of the consequences of human deeds according to the law of Allah. Do the ungodly wait until the Malaika come to them, or there comes the command of your Rabb. For the doom, so did those who went before them. But Allah wronged them not. Nay, they wronged their own selves. But the evil results of the deeds overtook them, and that very wrath, at which they had scoffed hemmed them in. 16:33-34. If in recompense for Iman and righteous deeds, showers of Darood and Salat come from the direction of the Malaika, then for rejection and transgression the onslaught of curses also comes from the direction. How shall Allah guide those who do kufr after they acknowledged Iman and bore witness that the messenger was true and that clear signs had come unto them? But Allah guides not a people unjust, who do zulm. Of such the reward is that on them rests the curse, lanat, of Allah, of His Malaika, and of all mankind. 3:86-87. The meaning of lanat is to remain distant, to become deprived, i.e., those people who do not spend their life according to the laws of Allah, they remain deprived of the peace and tranquility of the pleasant outcomes of these laws. Neither is the companionship of righteous people apportioned to them, nor can they fully benefit from the forces of the universe which carry out the affairs of the world. 6.12 Dispenser of the message of death. Since death also comes according to the law of Allah, hence its dispensation is also given into the hands of the Malaika. It is through the hands that the death of man takes place. In Surah Al-An'am it is stated, He is irresistible, watching from above over His servants, and He sets guardians over you. At length, when death approaches one of you, our Malaika take his soul, and they never fail in their duty. 6:61. See also 4:97, 6, 94, 7, 37, 8, 50, 16, 28, 47, 27. In Surah As-Sajdah the angel of Ajal has been called Malik al-Maut. The angel of death, say, the Malik of death, put in charge of you, will duly take yourselves. Then shall you be brought back to your Rabb for account. 32:11. 6.13 Protection and overseeing. From these verses it is clear that the physical changes which appear within the human body, and whose end result is the physical death of man, have also been termed as being the forces of Malaika. The fact is that whether it is the outer universe or the internal life of man, in every place every event occurs according to the established laws of Allah. Among these laws are some such that have come within the grasp of human knowledge, or will gradually come within it, while the rest are such that are out with his sphere of comprehension. All of these forces have been termed as Malaika. These same forces also protect man throughout his life. He is the irresistible, watching from above over his servants, and he sets guardians over you. 661. And it is these same forces which establish the results of individual and collective deeds of life. For each such person, there are forces, in succession, before and behind him. They guard him, as per law, by command of Allah. Allah does not change a people's lot unless they change what is in their psyche. But when, as a natural consequence of this change within their psyche, trouble comes upon that nation, then there can be no turning it back, nor will they find, besides Allah, any to protect. 13:11. These overseers are with every self. There is no self but has a guardian over it. 86:4. See also 82:10. 6.14. The overseers of man's deeds. These are those watchers who encompass human deeds, and in this way no deed of man, no flicker of his heart or eye can remain hidden from the eyes of the law of requital of Allah. The effect of every deed has to finally materialize. Say, O Rasul, Allah's law happens to be swifter than your trickeries. Verily, our messengers record all the plots and intrigues that you make. 10:21. The secrets hidden within the bosoms of men, the surreptitious whisperings in the hushed environment of the darknesses of night, all are continuously being recorded. Or do they, these rejectors of truth, think that we hear not their secrets and the private counsels? If they do, they are mistaken. Indeed, we do listen to everything, and our messengers are by them to record all their misdeeds. 43:80. The doubts which pass through his heart, or those thoughts arising from these which become manifested in the form of words, cannot escape anywhere outside of the sphere of the law of requital. It was we who created man, and we know what dark suggestions his self makes to him. For we are nearer to him than his jugular vein. Behold, 2 guardian angels, appointed to learn his doings. Learn and note them, one on the right and one on the left. Not a word does he utter, but there is a sentinel by him, ready to note it. 50:16-18. In these verses the writing down of human deeds is described as being the duty of the Malaika, but in other verses Allah has related this to himself. Nay, this can never happen. We shall record whatever he says, and we shall give him more rope for respite in his punishment. 19:79. From this it is clear that these Malaika are in actuality the forces of Allah's law, which establish results in this way. 6.15. Scroll of deeds around man's own neck. And this book of deeds is simply another name for Allah's law of requital. It has been described in another verse where it is stated that this scroll of deeds is not kept someplace outside but is hanging round the neck of man. Every man's fate we have fastened on his own neck. On the day of judgment we shall bring out for him a scroll, which he will see spread open. It will be said to him, read your own record. Sufficient is yourself this day to make out an account against you. 17:13-14. In other words, the human self is a guardian and watcher against its very own self. Nay, man will be evidence against himself. 75:14. Hence, these Malaika are in reality our own internal forces, i.e., those effects of our deeds which keep becoming imprinted on ourself. When the results of human deeds manifest in a visible form, the Quran terms this as the Day of Judgment. And because human life does not end along with his death, but instead moves forward, hence this process of manifestation of the results of these deeds also remains in place and persists after death. It is in relation to this that it is decreed that the descent of the Malaika will also occur on the Day of Judgment. In other words, the manifestation of results in this present life of man is due to the forces of the Malaika, and then following this, after death, the manifestation of results will also be in this same way. The day the heaven shall be rent asunder with clouds, and the Malaika shall be sent down, descending, in ranks. 25. 25. In another verse it is stated, the day that Aru and the Malaika will stand forth in ranks, none shall speak except any who is permitted by Allah, most gracious, and he will say what is right. 78. 38. Evaluation of every single detail of deeds will take place, and those in whom, according to the law of evolution, there is the ability to live the eminent and superior, elevated and high life of paradise, the Malaika will welcome those fortunate and righteous selves at the gate of Firdaus, paradise. The great terror will bring them no grief. The Malaika will meet them with mutual greetings. This is your day, the day of recompense for deeds that you were promised. 21. 103. See also 39. 73. These Malaika will come in flocks from every gate of paradise, and with joy and excitement they will shower the flowers of delight and blessings on the inhabitants of paradise. Gardens of perpetual bliss. They shall enter there, as well as the righteous among their fathers, their spouses, and their offspring. And the Malaika shall enter unto them from every gate, with the salutation, peace unto you, for that you persevered in patience. Now how excellent is the final home. 13. 23-24. See also 16. 32. This will be the state of those in paradise, while on the other side the state of those in hell will be. The kuffar will be led to hell in crowd, until, when they arrive there, its gates will be opened. And its keepers will say, did not messengers come to you from among yourselves, rehearsing to you the signs of your Rabb, and warning you of the meeting of this day of yours? The answer will be, true, but the decree of punishment, as a consequence of the deeds, has been proved true against the kuffar. 39. 71. See also 40. 49. These watchmen of hell have also been called the guardians of fire at one place. And we have set none but Malaika as guardians of the fire. 74. 31. See also 66. 6. Amongst them the biggest guardian is known by the title of Malik. They will cry, O Malik, would that your Rabb put an end to us. He will say, nay, but you shall abide. 43. 77. In these verses we have not explained paradise and hell because this is not the place for their clarification. However, it should be made clear here that the process of paradise and hell commences from this very world. Human deeds continually establish their effects at every moment in time. Some results among these become manifest in a tangible form right in this world, whereas the manifestation of some others takes place in the life after death. Aside from individual life, when viewed collectively, a society that is shaped according to the laws of Allah is a cradle for a paradisiacal life for human beings. Whereas when human beings live life in a non-divine system, then the outcome of that is hell. Jannat, Jahannam, the scales of balance, the day of judgment, azab, sawab, punishment, recompense, as detailed in the Quran, are not only about life after death but are also about this world. The Malaika, i.e., those hidden and invisible forces which establish the effects of human deeds, remain constantly engaged in constructing paradise and shaping hell for him. For it's this Jannat and Jahannam manifest in the form of effects and states which are the natural consequence of our individual and collective deeds. 6.16 Iman on the Malaika. These are the traits possessed by the Malaika on whom we have been asked to have Iman. But this path of righteousness is for the one who has Iman in Allah, the hereafter, the Malaika, the books, and the Anbiya. 2. 177. See also 2. 285. And the rejection of these is kufr. 4. 136. Belief in the Malaika was continuing to be handed down from former generations for a very long time. But in the same way that human conceptions had left reality warped by the creation of strange and bizarre forms through exaggeration and distortion of the attributes and being of Allah, outlandish kinds of notions about the Malaika had also been spawned. By removing these self-created layers of exaggeration and distortion, the Quran clarified the true reality of the Malaika before our eyes. Prior to the advent of Islam, there existed a belief in the divinity of the Malaika which the Quran declared as battle. He, the messenger, will never instruct you to take the Malaika or the Anbiya for gods and patrons. What? Would he bid you to kufr after you have bowed your will to Allah in Islam? 3:80. It is stated in Surah Saba. One day he will gather them all together, and say to the Malaika, was it you that these men used to worship? 34:40. See also 43:19-20. These people used to declare the Malaika to be goddesses. 43:19. People roaming in these valleys of superstitions used to think that since the Malaika have the availability of nearness to Allah, hence they could be their intercessors in the presence of Allah. The Quran has also refuted this battle belief. 53:26. Details of Shifrat, intercession, will be covered in its own place. However, at this point it is important to understand this much, that according to the Quran this belief is absolutely false, that some intercessor will be able to get a criminal released by interceding in the presence of Allah. These kinds of beliefs are the product of that mentality of ours according to which we have allocated the status of worldly monarch to Allah, who becomes irate over the slightest matter and metes out a severe punishment, and on becoming pleased showers with prizes and favors. In whose court there are courtiers, who perform intercession on behalf of people, and have intermediaries on their path through whom access is gained to him. The concept which the Quran has presented of Allah is distinct from this and elevated and superior. His law is functioning in the universe, and every decision here is made according to that law, in which there is neither any favor for anyone nor any kind of injustice towards anyone. He is above human emotions, that he should start to punish due to becoming annoyed, and by becoming pleased should hand out favors. The Arab Kafir used to consider the Malaika as being daughters of Allah. The Quran has refuted this also. Has then your Rabb, O pagans, preferred for you sons, and taken for himself daughters among the Malaika? Truly you utter a most dreadful saying. 17:40. See also 43:16. At other places they were considered in any case to be women. Those who do not have Iman in the hereafter, name the Malaika with female names. 53:27. For further details of these matters look at the fables of ancient Greek idolatry and the tales of the ancient religious texts of Hindustan, in which these invisible entities are made out to be wives and daughters of God. The concept of gods and goddesses was the result of these kinds of beliefs. 6.17 The true state. The Quran refuted all these battle beliefs once and for all and explained the reality of the Malaika in clear terms. First of all, it was clarified that the Malaika are created by Allah himself, therefore how can they be gods? Every hamd be to Allah, who created out of nothing the heavens and the earth, who made the Malaika, who are possessors of 2, 3, 4 wings. Forces. He adds to his creation as per his law of Mashrit. For Allah has power over all things. 35:1. By reference to 2, 3 and 4 wings is meant the different stages and statuses of the Malaika from the point of view of their power. According to Arabic linguistics, clipped wings denotes helplessness and the inability to function, being powerless and disabled, which amongst us is termed as being without wings and hair. The Malaika are the creation of Allah and His obedient servants and are never hesitant in their obedience to Him. Christ disdained not to serve Allah, nor do the Malaika, those nearest to Allah. Those who disdain to obey and are arrogant, they cannot go anywhere. He will gather them all together unto Himself. To answer 172. They are Allah's obedient and esteemed servants. And they say, Allah, most gracious, has begotten offspring. Glory to Him. They are but servants raised to honor. 21:26. This high regard and honor is because they carry out His commands unquestioningly. They all revere their Rabb, high above them. And they do all that they are commanded. 16:50. All the forces of the universe remain constantly engaged in carrying out their respective assigned duties. This is called tasbih. And since the outcome of the zealous activity of these forces, which becomes the cause for the enhancement of the beauty of the universe, is always constructive, hence, these zealous activities of theirs are a beautiful and admirable living model of Allah's system of the universe and Rububiyyat. This is called Hamd. And the thunder clouds are always active to make His system deserving of Hamd and appreciation, and similarly, various Malaika. Hence, it is wrong to consider them as gods and goddesses. 13. See also 21:19, 41, 37-38, 42. 5. This is the reality of the Malaika, and when, together with this, it is also borne in mind that they are the servants of man and they are meant to prostrate before Adam, then this reality becomes further clarified as to what their relationship is to man. To make the one who is a servant and who obeys orders as your God to be worshipped, if this is not proof of ignorance of reality, then what is it? 6.18 Is it possible to see the Malaika? The question arises as to whether it is possible for the Malaika to be seen by us. As has already been written, the Quran has made this matter clear that we cannot see them. It is stated in Surah At-Tawbah, and Allah strengthened him with forces which you saw not. 9:40. See also 9:26. Since Malaika is simply the title for those invisible forces which carry out different tasks in the system of the universe, hence the question of seeing them with physical eyes does not even arise. We can obtain knowledge of the effects of these forces, and that too, up to the extent that our intellect can guide us, but cannot see them with our eyes. As has been mentioned before, the Malaika are either those forces of nature which are functioning in the visible universe or are those forces which are related to the domain of Amr of Allah. In both cases the question of being able to see them does not arise. As far as the forces of nature are concerned, we can harness these by acquiring knowledge of the laws of nature, and from this point of view Adam becomes worthy of their prostration. As far as the descent of the Malaika on the Anbiya is concerned, its connection is with Wahi, details of which will be given later. Here, it is sufficient to specify only this much, that other than a Nabi no one else can comprehend the nature of Wahi. Because Wahi is not that kind of an attribute which every human being can create within himself through his own efforts. Therefore, we cannot fathom what the condition used to be of the hidden forces of the Malaika in the process of Wahi.